Hello students, welcome to the class of Effective Technical Communication. I am Professor Joshi from LJIET Institute of Engineering and Technology. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss about a very important aspect, that is time management. Now, time management is very important for professionals as well as in personal life. Why it is very important? You may have seen many people around you who are grappling with many things at the same time. They have to take care of different types of things or tasks during a day. And because of that, they are always rushing. And at the end of the day, they are found in stress. Also, they think that they haven't achieved much during the day. So despite of having a very busy day, why a person at the end of the day feels unproductive? That means that that person may have done something which was not important. So first of all, let us see this sentence which is given by a famous German thinker, Goethe. He said, "Things which matter most must not be at the mercy of things which matter least." Now, if we understand this sentence in depth, we will understand the principle behind time management. And for that, today we are going to learn a very important matrix of time management, which will help us in our professional and daily life to manage our time effectively. So, first of all, let us understand the different characteristics of time, which makes it very unique and which makes it very difficult to be able to manage. So the first characteristic of time is that it is constantly moving. Time is that one thing which never stops at all. But then we are not able to comprehend the movement of the time. And what is the reason for that? The reason is that it is intangible. We cannot see it, we cannot feel it. It is completely intangible. And for that reason, we cannot see it going away. And that is why we are not able to manage time effectively. And because it is intangible, it is also very relative. Every person relates time with the kind of situation that person is in, or the kind of feeling or emotion that person is going through in the mind. That is why every person looks at time differently and is not able to manage it uniformly or constantly. So to understand the relative term, let us understand this situation. The 2 hours of waiting of parents at the airport for their son coming from USA after many years may be longer than the 2 months that they spent with him during his stay. So in absolute term, 2 hours is less than 2 months. But for the parents, the experience was different. Those 2 hours were longer while the 2 months were shorter. So that is why we can say it is a relative term. And because it is relative, many a times when the situation is very good, we may get carried away with the time. We flow with the time. And that is why it goes away faster. And whenever the situation is not good or according to our wish, at that point of time, we may feel that time is very, very long. It stops. Now, because of this relative experience of time, and because it is intangible, it is important that time needs to be managed. We need to understand that we have to manage our time. So that comes to our next question, that why time management? So as I explained you that we are not able to see the time, it is intangible, it is relative. And I also explained you that due to the demands of the competitive world, people are rushing here and there. They are trying to meet their deadlines. And still we hear a lot of people saying that I have not met my deadline, or I couldn't complete my work on time. Or people are stressed out because they have so much to do in less time. Now, is it really a fact? Are people really very, very busy? Have you ever experienced calling your friend for some movie or spending time together, and the friend may say that, no, I cannot come because I have a lot of work. And this happens every time. So you will keep on wondering that this person doesn't have time any day. What is the reason? The person is busy throughout the day and the person is busy every day, and still the person is in stress, is not being able to complete work on time. Why people are facing this? This matrix was given by Eisenhower. He was a president in the past in USA, and he was also in the army prior to that. And he saw that people are not able to manage their time effectively, and that is why they are not able to enjoy their work, they are not able to enjoy their day, and they are not even able to enjoy their personal lives. So for that, he prepared a matrix. Now this matrix is divided into 4 quadrants. Now, before we divide our activities into 4 quadrants, first of all, when we start doing our management of time, or when we want to see that where do we spend our time most during the day, or why we are not able to complete our tasks on time, first of all, we should sit peacefully and list down all the activities that we do during a normal working day. After that, we have to sort it out into these 4 quadrants. You have to put the activities into the quadrants that it fall into. So which are these 4 quadrants? Now quadrant number 1 has activities which are urgent and important. That means that it has activities which requires your immediate attention. You cannot do away without doing those activities. You have to do it at the moment, right now. Those activities are urgent activities. So some activities of emergency can be included in the first quadrant. These activities are urgent as well as important. If you don't do, then it will be a problem for you. They are important for you. So activities like firefighting, crisis management, or pressing problems can be included in the first quadrant. The second quadrant has activities which are not urgent but important. So any regular activities can be included in the second quadrant. For example, if you are planning for your future, or if you are doing your project bit by bit, the deadline of which is far away, or you are doing your project ahead of time, then it is included in the second quadrant. Also, regular activities which takes you towards your goal, like taking care of your daily diet, can be included in second quadrant, or exercising daily is included in the second quadrant. Things like developing your skills or building relationships for future are also included in the second quadrant. Now the third quadrant has activities which are urgent but not important. So that means that they are not important for you, but you feel that they have to be addressed right away. So activities which are other people's priorities are included in the third quadrant. Some kinds of interruptions, distractions, or other people's pressing problems are included in the third quadrant. And the fourth quadrant has not urgent and not important activities. They are called time wasters. So activities like watching TV, web series, or going through your Instagram and Facebook accounts, or chit-chatting with friends, going for a movie, all kinds of pleasure activities, all kinds of recreational activities are time wasters. They fall into the fourth quadrant. Now how will you decide whether an activity is urgent and important, not urgent and not important? So for that, you have to first of all clarify the goal in the mind. So for example, for a student, the goal should be performing better in your academics, or putting your best in your academics, or getting good marks, or passing your exams with great marks. And for a professional, the goal must be either completing a project, the deadline of which may be after some 1 month or 6 months or so, or completing a project successfully, or carrying out your daily activities successfully, or or getting a promotion or an increment can be a goal. Now when you fix your goal, now you have to examine your daily activities, keeping this goal as your guidepost. And then ask two questions. Question number 1, you have to ask, do I need to address this right now? If the answer is yes, then it will fall into urgent category. If the answer is no, it will fall into not urgent category. And second question, does this activity takes me towards my goal or nearer my goal? If the answer is yes, then it is important. And if the answer is no, then it is not important. So in this manner, by asking two questions, you will be able to decide whether the activity falls in any of these 4 quadrants. Now after your segregation of 4 quadrants is done, you have to examine your daily activities. If your first quadrant is full, that shows that you are not able to manage your time effectively. And if your first quadrant is full, then definitely your third and the fourth quadrant will also be full. The reason that every day you are doing a firefighting is that either you are giving priority to other people's problems or you are wasting your time a lot in recreational activities. So for that, what we need to do? Number 1, you can always avoid the activities of 4th quadrant. So if any important task is undone, then you should not do any kind of recreational activities. Watch TV or your favorite program only if you have finished off with all the important tasks of the day. Make it the rule. So that will reduce your 4th quadrant activities and you will be able to utilize that time in doing your activities of the 2nd quadrant. Yes, the 2nd quadrant is the most important quadrant and most of your activities during the day should be of the 2nd quadrant. That is all regular activities. Doing things ahead of time. Doing things bit by bit every day. So if you are a student, then every day going back home, you should revise the things that has been taught today. This will help you. So first of all, avoid the 4th quadrant. Now secondly, the 3rd quadrant activities are also not important for your goal, but they are other people's priorities. So you should not get distracted by any kinds of disturbances which comes in while you are working, and you should not give priority to other people's problem. Do not always go and help people when you can avoid it. If it is very, very important and if you feel that your attention is required, then only you should help others. So avoid helping others if it is not required, so that you are able to avoid the 3rd quadrant. That is giving priority to other people's work, which is not important for your own goal. So again here, if you reduce your activity, it will make more time for the 2nd quadrant. And then when you are doing activities of 2nd quadrant daily, that means that you are well planned, you are doing things bit by bit, and by the time your deadline approaches, you have already done your work, or you will be able to complete your work before the deadline. So if this happens, then your 1st quadrant activities will become minimum. It may not become 0 because you will have to give attention to some medical emergency that comes up, but at least it will become minimum. You are not always firefighting for your deadlines, for your work. You are not always doing the work at the 11th hour. So now, if we do this, if we avoid the 4th quadrant activities, we minimize the 3rd quadrant activities, then automatically we can increase the 2nd quadrant activities. And if that happens, then our 1st quadrant activities will be minimum. And if we keep our 1st quadrant activities minimum, then what happens? Number 1, we are always peaceful. Number 2, we finish our works before time. Number 3, we are able to do quality work. Number 4, you will not get stressed out. finally, if actually you face some kind of urgent thing, like somebody from your family has to be hospitalized, then that is something which is urgent, as well as it is important for you. It may not be important for the goal that you want to achieve, but it is important for you as a person. Then, if you are able to minimize the activities of the first quadrant, then you will be also able to take care of that urgent matter very easily. You will be able to take out time for that urgent matter because you don't have many tasks to do. For example, if you are a student and you have been studying throughout the semester regularly, and at the last day before the exam, if someone from your family falls ill and you have to go to the hospital with your family member, if you have studied it regularly, you will go with a peaceful mind and you will be able to pay more attention to your family member. But if you haven't done any work before, then you will be tensed at that point of time. Not only that, you will also not perform well in your exam. So this is how, through these 4 quadrants, you will be able to understand your activities. So let us see some tips or some important things that we should remember to manage our time effectively. So the first thing that we have to do is plan your day every day. Everything happens, or every successful work happens twice. Once inside the mind and once actually at the implementation level. So plan your day every day. If you will be planned every day, if you have your own plan every day, then you will not fit into the other person's plan. The second point is that always do your task ahead of time so that you don't have to rush. Thirdly, know your own priorities. If you will know your priorities, you will be able to say no to other people's priorities. Then concentrate on the task at hand and do not think about anything else while you are doing a task. Learn to say no to other people's priorities. And lastly, have a clear vision of your goal in your mind. If this is there, you will be able to manage your time effectively. By now you have understood that to be able to manage your time effectively, number 1 is that we have to avoid time wasters, and number 2 is that we have to learn to say no. Now how to say no? To understand that, first of all, let us see what happens when we are not able to say a no. So when we are not able to say no, or when we always keep on helping others by neglecting our own task, then we will end up wasting our time. When we end up wasting our time, we will not be able to meet our own deadlines. Also, always helping people doesn't guarantee a good relation in the future. It doesn't guarantee that the other person will be very grateful towards you. And when this happens, you will go into a resentment. And when you go into a resentment, you will develop a kind of negative emotion. And if this cycle continues, then it will also reflect in your behavior with the other person. And because of that, you will create a bad impression with the person to whom you are giving help, as well as in your organization, because you are not able to complete your own work on time. So for this, we should always say no whenever it is required. But why we don't say a no? Let us understand that. And if we understand the reasons why we don't say no, then we will also be able to overcome them. So first one is that human beings want a belonging. So for that belonging, you want acceptance. And that is why people keep on helping others always so that they are accepted. But that is not the case. Even if you don't keep on helping every time, you still belong to a group. Because other people also understand that everyone has their own priorities. When others come to you for help, you always tend to help them, even if you have your own priorities, because it satisfies your ego. But then later on, this will not be a good thing for you. The third reason is the lack of plan. Because you don't have plan, you easily slip into others' plan. The fourth reason is you don't know your priorities, and because of that you are giving priority to someone else's priority. The fifth reason is that you are impulsive. That means that you are reactive. So whatever may come up all of a sudden during a day, or if someone asks for help all of a sudden, you are impulsive and you tend to help them, neglecting your own work. And lastly, you lack decision making. Now, whenever anything comes up, you are not able to decide in your mind what I should do right now. And this lack of decision making actually comes from the impulsive behavior, the lack of plan, and the lack of knowledge of your priorities. Now, if all these 6 reasons are taken care of, you will be able to say no to people and avoid the activities of the third quadrant also. So I hope you have understood all the principles of time management today, and I'm sure that if you apply all of these in your personal as well as your professional lives, you will be able to manage your time effectively and always finish off your work on time and with quality. Thank you so much.